We're going to be talking about implementing change in the fire service. There is simply no way in 40 or 50 minutes to do a real good justice on this, but we're going to give you an overview, 30,000-foot view. I'm happy to be standing here with Chris Bator, Division Chief for Coral Springs Parkland, and also Division Chief John Schmidt from Pasco County Fire Rescue. Both of these departments have been leaders on the leading edge of cancer prevention in their area, and they've set themselves apart even nationally because of their stand on cancer prevention. I think Palm Beach County Fire Rescue deserves to be in there as well, so I'm really excited to be part of this. Looking around the crowd here, and there's a number of people in this class today that could be giving this lecture, including Jazz in the front row and Jeff Hughes in the back here. We're talking to leadership right now. If you're at this conference right now, you're part of that leadership. So understand that you have the ability to steer change more than anybody does, as long as you can do it in an effective way. So that's my background. I just want to talk about really this issue. Change and culture. Training. I mean, traditions and culture versus change. If you can't create why for your personnel, for your firefighters, for your organization, it's going to be very difficult for you to make that change. These organizations over here have done just that. This helmet I'm passing around went the length of the state. It's a helmet that was given to me. It didn't have a single thing on it when it was given to me. Those are all crosses of firefighters that have passed since. That's state of Florida. And this band that I bring with me as well is my own department, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. And again, look at the visuals. And my former co-worker from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, Cameron Busek, I'll tell you what happened with this. This was put together when Bull walked the state. Tom Bull Hill walked to Tallahassee and created a wave of understanding of how big the impact the cancer has been. On this band is just Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, and we strapped something like this. It was actually exactly like this. Is that passed around already? That's awesome. Let me just get that so it doesn't fall, because it'll do that. It will fall. 24 names at the time. There's now 33 firefighters from Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. And I'm also going to pass this around. This is district chiefs, captains, lieutenants, firefighters, driver operators, paramedics that are all arrayed there. When we put this together, I said, we need another one of these. This was going on the pack with Bull, but I got to have this for us. It's an eye-opener. And when I trained in Palm Beach County Fire Rescue on change, on cancer prevention, I would ask the firefighters that I've worked with for decades to raise your hand if you know somebody at Palm Beach County Fire Rescue that's lost their life to cancer. And I'd say they'd all put their hand up because everybody knew somebody that died from cancer. And I'd say, keep your hands up. Cameron, do you know 2? Can you name 3? Can you name 4 people from our department? Can you name 5? And about 3 or 4, they go, put their hands down. And when I say, can you name 10? Can you name 15? Can you name 20? Can you name 24? They're looking at me like, there's no way. Our department? And then I hold the band up. And guys that I work with for decades, we pass that around. You go, oh my God, I know him, I know her, I know him, I know him, I know him. I work with that guy. And you start to see the impact that something like that can have on just creating that why. It's so important. If your department hasn't taken stock, like Boston did, they did an amazing job with their wall, taking stock of the actual impact of cancer. It's hard to create that why for people, and it's going to be really hard to implement change. And that's why something like that might be something you might decide to do for your own department or make it your own, however you want to do it. That reminder of the impact is important. So we're going to the video here. I want you to watch this video. Looks a little bit different than that. What do we got here? How you doing, Rico? We good? I can juggle. Hey, Chief, how's it going? Having a problem with the PowerPoint, so I'm sure you're working through it. So there's a video here that I'm gonna roll for you, but I want you to look at the background message as it rolls.
Dispatch to Firefighter Patry. Dispatch to Firefighter Eric Patry. Firefighter Eric Patry has responded to his last alarm. He was the MacGyver of the fire department. Beyond that, Eric was everyone's friend. He was always there for anyone that needed help, regardless of the situation. Family, friends, and fellow firefighters, Eric has responded to his last alarm. Rest in peace, Eric. Rest in peace.
Each of us knows a firefighter who's fought, is fighting, or has lost their battle with cancer. Cancer affects us all. Many of you suspect firefighters may be at greater risk.
Today, we have an opportunity to find out if that is true, and more importantly, why.
A major research project is underway. It's being conducted by a research team at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center at the University of Miami. Sylvester is a leader in our region for all things cancer, including groundbreaking research, screening, diagnosis, treatment, survivorship, and prevention. The findings of their study could lead to life-changing improvements in the way we do our job.
Here's what here's what we need from you. 15 minutes. A simple confidential survey is underway right now. This survey, done online, is paramount to identifying how our service relates to cancer risks. After you complete the survey, you may be eligible for free cancer screenings. Again, we cannot stress enough the importance of this survey.
If you're currently an active firefighter, this 15-minute survey could save your life or that of your fellow firefighter.
I hope you will answer the call.
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 We hope you will answer the call.
To get started, click the link below.
Anything strike you on that video when you watch it? Anything jump out at you? Your thoughts? Departments working together. Not really a traditional thing. Usually it's a bravado that it's me, and this is our system, and we've got what we've got. If we don't learn how to collaborate and work together, we're going to have a hard time creating the change that's necessary to fix this kind of thing. We've got to learn to work across the aisle. We've got to take the patch off. When we were approached to do this video by Sylvester, Broward had already done one, Miami had done one, City of Miami had done one, and they asked Palm Beach County, let's do one in your area because we want to get the survey out, this 4 years ago, and get your people to start doing the survey. Well, so let's do this regional. Let's, literally, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, third largest department in the state of Florida. I think we have a great organization. We actually, Vicki Shepard and myself, decided that we were going to take that opportunity and shoot the video at West Palm Fire, a department that had been around for 125 years. We gave them an opportunity on the stage with us, and then we went to Delray, did the same thing, and we brought in also the union. And the reason we did that was specifically this, is that we've got to take the patch off. This is affecting everybody the same way. Having union, the current president at the time, giving the same message was important also because, for obvious reasons, we're asking firefighters to fill out a survey that's giving their specific data, very personal information about their cancer profile, and if it's just administration asking for that, they're like, well, wait, why do you want that information? That's the first thing they'd ask, right? If the union's standing there with us saying it's the same thing, it's a solid front message. That's the important. When you're trying to create change, you've got to look at those kinds of elements when you bring it to the table. It's a collaborative thought process. I only have another minute. Wow. So, we can all look at this right now as leaders in cancer prevention and see a problem, right? Can you not see this? Does anybody understand that that's a problem? The picture on the right is an ad from MSA that was yanked down when that firefighter said, I don't like this. And MSA listened, and they changed their messaging. Messaging is so important when you're trying to create change. And when somebody says, hey, that's a big change you're asking. That's a big ask. I'd say, well, look at this. These were big changes because of health and safety reasons that changed the fire service, is it not? How many people in this room put an IV bag in their teeth just to hold it? How many people couldn't find a set of gloves on an ambulance or a rescue truck. The only place was in the OB kit, right? There was no medical gloves, there's no shields. We put our hands on, bare hands on wounds to stop bleeding and direct pressure until somebody got a bandage. That's what you did. And if you go, I need some gloves, they'd be like, maybe you shouldn't be here because I don't have time for that, right? What about the guy that walked in day one for the fire service and watched this his entire childhood, watched firefighters running down on the tailboards, changing their gear on the way to a fire, changing into their gear on the way to a fire. They walks in day one and they go, hey, we stopped doing that last month. That was a pretty big letdown, right? But we stopped doing that. Why? Because we were killing firefighters. Change is important. Leadership's important. I'll leave with this. Leadership. None of this gets done without leadership. You're on the front row here, and I've done this every class, so I'm not blowing smoke, Chief. But our state would not be in the state that it's in if it weren't for leadership like Julius Hallis, who is a bulldog and has fought and fought and fought. It's the same thought process as a chief in a department. You have the ability to make those changes. You're the shepherd of that flock. You're the person that can implement that change and take it seriously. No firefighter respects a chief more when they feel that that chief has their best interest in health and safety. It's such an important thing. So if you're here from leadership, know your role is so important, vital to the changes that we're trying to implement in the fire service. I'm going to give you Chief John Schmidt from Pasco County, Division Chief. The model that he's going to give you is what I feel is the premier model for stopping the cross-contamination from the fire ground to the firehouse and really to our firefighters and family. Chief.
Thanks, Sam. Sam is an inspiration to me. He kind of gives me that extra energy that I need. I've been doing this. I've been in the fire service for 37 years, and when you spend this kind of time, there's got to be something that's pushing you. And when I have conversations with Sam, when we get on the FACE team and listen to his energy, it's very easy to keep on pushing. Doing what we do, doing what we're doing in Pasco, there's days when it feels like I'm the only one who's pushing it. Why am I the only one who's worried about my firefighters' health and safety? Why am I the only one worried about them getting cancer or not getting cancer? That shouldn't be my concern, necessarily. It is, but we got to bring it home. We got to make that change in the fire service that our firefighters, that's a concern of theirs. I often talk with Sam and Chris and others that I truly want my firefighters coming to me and demanding a change, or demanding that the decon truck's there, or demanding that I have enough gear there for them to change out so they don't go back in their apparatus dirty, that they don't have a piece of PPE that is dirty at all. Air packs, helmets, headbands in your helmets, your hoods, your gloves, any of it. So that's what our goal has been. No one's demanded that of me yet, but I think that when they do, okay, I can check out and retire. But that may be it down the road a little bit. I got really passionate about this about 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I started reading the research about how our gear was contaminating, cross-contaminating our firefighters with possible carcinogens. But back then, that early conversation was predominantly about our PPE and the external part of our PPE. We quickly went to how do we fix that? Well, obviously we got to wash it, but maybe we need to get a second set of gear for everybody. Well, now you're talking about a financial impact. It was still relatively new, not a lot of information out. I started buying into it. I started believing in it. And then when I got promoted to the training chief in my first, where I did my career organization, we had a fire about 9 o'clock in the morning. About 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we had an extrication. Most of the companies that were at the fire in the morning were at the extrication in the afternoon. They're breaking down, taking off their gear, helmets get put away, their coats get put away. I believe it was July, August, so they're not going to leave that stuff on for very long. They all had black rings around their head. We're not cleaning them. We were talking about cleaning and changing and washing our gear, but we weren't doing it all. If you're going to get into this, at some point you have to have that conversation. Is it a 360 conversation? We change out radio straps in Pasco County because what do? Walk into any firehouse today, unannounced. If there's six members there, I guarantee there's 3 that are wearing a radio strap. And it doesn't matter whether it's on an EMS call, extrication call, or a fire call. Guarantee it didn't get cleaned. I have them. I didn't clean mine. It wasn't until I started this process that the light came on one day. We need to change out everything, including radio straps. Oh, and also let's have a process to clean our radios, to put them in that clean radio strap. So that's kind of, as this has gone along, and you have conversations, I talk to other agencies that are doing some type of decon, you discover that it is a bigger picture than not. I also want to tell you real quick that I also believe that this is just one spoke of the wheel for the whole firefighter. Our firefighters are people. Our firefighters, a lot of times people put them up on pedestals and forget that they have feelings, that they have families, that they have things that they enjoy doing outside the fire service. We got to take care of them from cancer. We've got to take care of them for fitness, for nutrition, for mental health. All of it has to come together. It's not separate. It's not just like one pod over here is decon, one pod over here is mental health. It's all together, and we need to work it together. So as we talk about change in the fire service, I think that there's some basic understanding that I'm trying to portray to my folks. I want to empower my firefighters to come to me and say, Chief, we need to do something different. As I mentioned in the video, you'll see in a little bit, some things that we started out on paper, conceptually, it doesn't work practically. So you have to start out conceptually and then make it work practically. And you have to be willing to go ahead and, okay, we got to make a change. So we've had to make some changes over time. But in that process of trying to make changes and empowering my firefighters, there's certain standards and understandings that everybody needs to understand where we are in the line. As an agency, there's certain responsibilities that we have, and forget that we're a fire department. We could be any ABC business anywhere. OSHA requires us, if our employees have to work in a hazardous environment, that we've got to train them how to work in that hazardous environment. We've got to provide them PPE for that hazardous environment. And not only do we have to provide it to them, but then we have to train them how to wear it, when to wear it, how to keep it clean, all of that. And we need to do that with our people. I asked it in the last group, how many of you have worked on a company and you've had a firefighter tell you, hey, Cap, or hey, Lieutenant, my SCBA is not functioning properly? I had that a lot. How many times do you think I've had in my 37-year career, did I ever have an officer come to me or a firefighter come to me and say, hey, Lieutenant, my gear, I got a hole in my gear. I got a tear in my pant or my coat. If it's not okay for them to go into an IDLH with damaged or malfunctioning SCBA, it's not okay for them to go in with damaged PPE. So, but with that, in that same scenario, we have to tell them that there's certain responsibilities that they have. They've got to let us know. They've got to be empowered that little world that they have is theirs, and they need to take care of it and let us know. It's a team effort. And also, in the way to make this change is we need to tell them what's going to hurt them. Again, it goes back to the first part of understand the department's responsibilities and the training. We need to let them know what's going to hurt them. I talk about this a lot, and I talk about it a lot to our firefighters in Pasco County. The one thing that I hear all the time, hey, but Chief, my gear wasn't dirty. Were you in the smoke? Well, yeah, I was in the smoke, but it's not dirty. If it was just dirt, this would be easy, and this conversation probably isn't as big as it is today. It's the stuff that you don't see that's going to kill you, and it's always that way. It's the stuff that you don't see that can cause the most damage. That's what we have to train our firefighters and help them to understand. The hashtag clean on scene, that's my PIO. I'm not a techie. I'm not sure how it works. All I know is if you type that in, it's supposed to bring up some information. And Corey, our PIO, is adding science. I read a lot of abstracts. All the stuff that we do in Pasco, by the way, is supported by some type of science. It's not John's idea. It's reading the abstracts, reading the science, and interpreting how can we best implement it. I'm just going to kind of go through this real quick because we're running out of time, but cancer deaths exceed fire deaths. Remember when everyone goes home? That theme, everyone goes home, from what, 15 to 18 years ago? That's because we were killing 100 or so firefighters every year on fire scenes. We're killing way more cancer, more are dying of cancer now than that, but we're reducing the fire deaths, which is great, but we need to reduce the cancer deaths as well. This is our first truck. We have a second truck that also, our focus is our plan is to keep 2 apparatus in service. We're going to move into putting 2 employees on each truck. This truck carries about 160 sets of gear, coats and pants. Also carries some spare helmets, hoods, helmet headbands, gloves, radio straps. Every piece of PPE that our firefighter is given to wear into a fire, we have spares on this truck. Implementing change, you've got to start from the highest level down. Sam mentioned it a little bit briefly. I was able to, January is Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. So we actually had a resolution by our county commission in January supporting Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month, which I think is huge to get them to come on board and allow our firefighters to see that our county administration is actually going to support us. The gentleman in the middle holding the resolution, he's one of my decon technicians. He's one of my alternates. Currently, he's fighting brain cancer. He's doing a great job, very positive attitude, but it is definitely an uphill battle, and he does a great job. This is just a picture of our new truck at the Health and Safety Conference in Orlando. Here's a little bit bigger picture. It is a big truck. It's not in service yet. We're still probably a month away. We had to put together a training package. We actually put it and used it at one of our burns at the training center with our new hire group. And now we have a video.
My name is Ronald Borrego. I work in primary spot with Decon 1.
I'm John Schmidt, Division Chief, Health, Safety, and Wellness.
We've been working for about over a year now on the program.
We started out with a 26-foot box truck. We work with Fleet here at Pasco County to get us a vehicle to be able to transport equipment to the scene.
We got racks in there, made pipings, so we can hang gear and just basically fill it up with all kinds of gear, all bunker gear, Nomaxes, gloves, as much as we can get into it.
We talked about trailers, we talked about retrofitting rescues.
It's a very positive change, and health-wise, it's big. It's big for ourselves, for our family, for the department.
We want to bring in the concept of getting the carcinogens off our bodies and our equipment as soon as possible.
Everyone's getting new gear. It's not like before where we were having to work with our bunker gear, going to a fire, and then maybe from there going to an MVA or an MVC, and then maybe having to run a medical call on the way back to the station, and you just have this gear on you that's full of smoke, full of carcinogens, causing you harm over time.
So it's taken some time. We've had to change our processes a little bit, which is, no one does this. This is something brand new to us, and doing it on scene kind of puts a different dynamic on it.
Starting with just arriving on scene, it's with just one truck on the road. It was taking us some time to get there. Probably about 45 minutes, honestly, from where we're at to Newport Richey or just to the corners of our county. Well, if we can get both trucks on the road, it's going to cut that by half.
The new truck we just took delivery a couple weeks ago. It's not in service yet. Our fleet department has some work that they've got to do on it, but it is a 45-foot truck. It will be manned with 2 people. It has a quite large space to carry 120 sets of gear, It has a workstation, and it has the 2 micro units with 2 100-gallon tanks to supply water for the micro units. We have 2 generators on it, 1 generator to run the truck when we're on scene. Another generator is specific to help us run the micro units.
Not only now will you have your bunker gear replaced and have a fresh new set, but also all your gear can be cleaned thoroughly and given right back to you so you can get back in service.
We know it's a dynamic process. We can draw it out on paper, but we have to put it into practice, and sometimes practice changes that paperwork.
It's kind of one of those situations where, if you don't think about it, you don't have to worry about it. But the reality is a lot of guys retire and they have some major health issues, cancer, things like that, and this is the start of stopping that. It's the start of letting everyone know, what is out there, the issues that it can cause us over time, and how we can basically, hopefully one day retire and actually still be healthy and not have to worry about any of that stuff, because at least we've known our career, we had this program to help us through.
Our PIO does a really good job of branding what we do, not just decon, but a lot of things that we do within the county. So he does a great job in those videos. But I want to, before I turn it over to Chief Bator, is leave one more thing. Risk versus benefit. We use that term everywhere in the fire service. EMS calls, fire calls, extrication calls, brush fires, you name it, we use what's the risk versus benefit. Do I go in? Do I do interior fire attack? Do I stay outside because there's, the building's coming down? Whatever the risk is. Is there a benefit? And we make a lot of our decisions based on that. I will tell you that in this particular case, the risk is great by not doing anything. The benefit is tremendous. It's about people. It's not about firefighters. It's about people and making sure our people are healthy and they can outlive their pension. My brother's a financial planner, and when I was getting ready to retire, he said, first thing he told me is you need to live about 48 months. I said, well, I'm hoping to live a whole lot longer than that. He goes, well, that's how long it's going to take you to get back in your pocket what you paid out throughout your 26, 27-year career. And then he said, you need to live 26 years beyond that, or 20, whatever the number was, and outlive your pension, because that's all interest. But the goal here is to outlive your pension. If it takes you 25 years, you need to live 26. Takes you 30 years, live 31. Outlive your pension, because that is what this goal is. I've known way too many firefighters that have passed less than 5 years of being retired. I had a good friend of mine who died 3 days before he was going to retire with neck cancer. And unfortunately, I was there, and I was in the ER when he died, and the doctor called it. And that sucked. And I probably shouldn't say that, but I didn't want to ever have any of you see a firefighter die or get called on scene. But it's risk versus benefit. The benefit is great, but you got to do something. You don't have to get a truck like we have. You don't have to do all of that. We have buckets here in Florida. You can get buckets anywhere. It doesn't have to be a green bucket. It can be a Home Depot bucket. It can be a Lowe's bucket. Fill it, put a hose in it, put an adapter in it, put a brush in it, and clean our people on scene. I don't care who you are. We can do something. Use wipes like Sam said. We've got to take care of our people, because they are the most important asset every agency, every organization, every business has, are the people who work for it. All right, thank you.
I think so. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Bator. I'm the Division Chief for Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department for the Safety, Health, and Wellness. And I'm also proud to serve as the president and co-founder for the Florida Firefighter Safety and Health Collaborative. If you're not familiar with that, it's an organization, a nonprofit organization, to bring Florida's fire service together to work on health and safety initiatives. I highly encourage you guys to go out to the little booth out there that we have. There's some palm cards on there There's a Q code, just scan it. Essentially, what that is basically it's a free resource for you all to be able to get documents, policies, procedures. Unfortunately, in the past, I think the fire service has really been kind of close to the vest with policies, procedures, and sharing information. And what our goal is really to make sure that we have all these resources for you to have access to free at no charge, and change it. Take the logos off, make it your own if it works for you, find a way to do it. I think that's our goal. And I'm very proud that a lot of our folks have been part of the Lavender Ribbon Report as well as the Yellow Ribbon Report. And again, we've basically brought the state together and the state leadership together. And Director Hallis, you've been a big champion for us as well, to come together and work on these things. It's about taking the patches off. It's about, if you look at those of us presenting today, we're all from different organizations and to have different ways of doing things, but we're learning from each other, and I think that's so important for all of us. As Chief Schmidt said, his department's larger than mine. I think you have 700 folks over there. We have about 186 in Coral Springs. Coral Springs, Parkland is just north of here, the next county north. It normally would be about 45 minutes, but Miami traffic, probably about 2 to 3 hours to get there. So it's not far. Just wanted to kind of share where we're at and just kind of give you an idea that just because they do it one way and we do it a different way, you have to look at your own organization and see what really fits for you guys. So I'm going to give you a little bit on what clean cab concept is, and then really kind of get into like the why and what was the reason we did this. And obviously it's really to create a way to reduce our risk of exposures to firefighters with cancer, from cancer or carcinogens. And now, when we started this back in 2016, every manufacturer, every fire apparatus manufacturer now has a model of a clean cab. They may call it something different, but they all have one. That's Sufton's up there, and then you'll see the 3 red trucks are, which Sufton had to be, I think, Palm Beach. There's other departments that also have this as well. Ours happens to be a Pierce fleet. This is a little bit about the why and our journey and how we got here.
Headquarters to engine 109 Alpha. Headquarters calling engine 109 Alpha. This is the final call for engine 109 Alpha. Driver engineer Paul Pietrafesa, ID number 1040.
True heroes are those who are willing to risk their lives for others. But firefighters just see themselves as ordinary people who face extraordinary circumstances. They selflessly display courage and honor and are constantly ready to spring into action the moment they are needed. But for every hero, there is a villain. And in this case, it's cancer.
Paul had abdominal pain one night, and we went to the doctors the next morning because he was jaundiced. And at first I thought he had gallbladder, but more tests down the road revealed that he had a tumor in the head of his pancreas. We couldn't believe it was real, and you believe that you can fix it and we can beat it. So at first it was just really hard to wrap your brain around the reality of the truth. Our lives changed dramatically after Paul was diagnosed. We knew his time was limited, and we wanted to do the most we could with the time we had left. And your whole perspective changes when you've been handed a sentence of a few months. And you find that things aren't as important as you thought they were before somebody's diagnosed. And you live every day like it's your last.
Once in a while, and love is
diagnosed in 2014 with fibrosarcoma.
In 2005, March of 2005, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer.
I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2005.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer early 2015.
I was 48 years old at the time. I have 2 kids. Thoughts of, am I going to see them grow up? Am I going to walk my daughter down the aisle?
It was tough on myself and my family, but we got through it.
What went through your mind when you were given that diagnosis? Immediately, when the doctor says you have cancer.
Sometimes life gets hard, and sometimes we break down, and some days we just want to let go and walk away.
We now know, just by being firefighters, we're more likely to get cancer just by the job that we do.
We started to realize that these weren't isolated incidents, that there was probably a reason behind some of these occurrences of cancer.
Dr. Lee and colleagues conducted epidemiological studies with the state of Florida and found that there was increased risk for firefighters in testicular cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, prostate cancer, and for female firefighters, there's an increased risk in overall cancer and cervical cancer.
Coral Springs has done a number of different things which are kind of leading the edge on what we should be doing, such as gross decon on the scene, the 2 sets of gear, moving the ice machines out of the truck stalls. And then the new concept, obviously, is the clean cab.
By removing the equipment from the cab, we are reducing our exposure to carcinogens. Research has shown that SCBAs and equipment can continue to off-gas days later. An added benefit is that we've been able to reduce back, knee, and ankle injuries. These components of the clean cab concept have improved our overall firefighter safety and health without increasing our overall response times.
We know the risk of cancers increase because of our profession. With this information, we have started to redesign our apparatus, our stations, and write new policies and procedures that provide further firefighter safety, health, and well-being. The driver in the video you saw was Paul Petrofessa. Paul died of pancreatic cancer in 2016. Paul was a true inspiration to this department and has affected the way that we do business today in a positive manner. Paul sat on the committee that helped design the first clean cab truck that the Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department took possession of. It was a 2016 Pierce 100-foot platform. The committee came up with the idea of getting all of the gear, all of the equipment that goes into a hazardous environment out of the cab of the vehicle and into the body of the vehicle so it is away from the firefighters. Other steps that we have taken is we've looked at our station design, removed ice machines from the bays, have storage facilities just for bunker gear. We have issued 2 sets of bunker gear to every firefighter. Implementing a hood and glove swap program that allows for our firefighters to have clean gear to just about every call. We will stay committed to improving the safety, health, and wellness of our firefighters. We will continue to look at the research and the data that's coming out of Sylvester Cancer Center, and we will continue to reevaluate the equipment, procedures, and policies we use on a daily basis to make sure that we are doing the best we can for the men and women that serve the communities they serve.
If I could say anything to other firefighters, cancer doesn't discriminate. It's not a race or a male or a female that's going to get it more. It's going to impact everybody. Don't make the mistake of not enjoying your life and doing what you want to do. To be aware of the possibility that cancer could strike at any time is scary. But don't have regrets that you didn't do what you wanted to do. And make sure that you live and be polystrong.
Change starts with each of us. Today it starts with me, not at my station.
Not in my cab.
Not in my house.
Not in our department.
So I know what you guys are thinking, and I agree with you. Camera does add 25 pounds. But all seriousness, the clean cab process or the design itself, if you're considering moving in that direction, it has to be easy. If you don't make it easy for firefighters, they're not going to do it. If you put equipment all around the truck that they have to run around to go get, an axe over here or SCBA over there, it's not going to work. You may come up with a brilliant design and think that that's going to be the one that's going to do it, but if it's not easy for them, you're going to be working against yourself. So a couple things about the design itself, and I do want to share with you that we do have a clean cab vehicle outside that you can walk through and see.
I got to run to a meeting. I just want to let you guys know that all these presenters, they were all like lieutenants and stuff when I met them, and the good work they're doing, they're all like division chiefs, bat chiefs, and division chiefs. So congratulations. I got to run to a meeting.
Thanks, Chief. So we do have a couple of vehicles outside. We have both a clean cab engine that you can walk through and see how it is and work through ask the crews that'll be out there. We also have a command vehicle that was also a clean cab from Davie Fire Rescue. They're also there. And one from one of our fire investigators, because they often get kind of left out of the discussion about all this. So, but we all like the color black, right? Everyone wants to make it darker or blacker. It's like a kind of thing, but it doesn't necessarily help us when it comes to deconning. It certainly hides things, so lighter colors are actually better. When we first designed our first truck, which was 2016, there was really not a lot of options that apparatuses had related to seating, because that was another challenge that we had to do. So vinyl was the best thing we could do with. Is that going to really hold up over a period of time? Probably not. But it was the best thing that was actually wipeable and cleanable. And now they have better materials that are out there. I will share with you also, here's another photo of just some of the things that are inside and out. We even had certain flashlights. The orange ones have kind of always been on our trucks, and they were always associated with going into fires. So we bought yellow ones that were mounted on the inside of the trucks, and those were basically for EMS. So using the culture that you had before to how you add to it, so people, color coding. We like color code in the fire service, so this is one of those extra things that we had done just to make sure that people weren't using the same stuff for the same things. Again, the thought process is anything that goes into a fire, we don't want it to go back in the cab. The other thing with the SCBAs is that, we wanted to take the human component out of it. We know that everybody cleans differently. Some people clean their packs very, very well and thoroughly. Others don't. Some people don't care. Some people do. We know that if it's outside on the officer side, then essentially, it's going to be out of the cab itself. It's not going to create that issue. Couple pictures of just, and I'll get into this. The one on the right bottom is the engine that you're going to see, and that's basically on the officer side where the firefighter gets out and the officer gets out, and everything is there. The axes are there, the thermal imager is there, the gas meter is there, everything that they would need for a fast attack to go through. Another component is our drivers are pretty active. They're not just standing by the panel. They're actually helping, pulling lines and pushing it to the front door while these guys are actually packing up and throwing that stuff on. I do want to show you this picture here too, in the middle with the 4 packs hanging down. That was the first truck that we designed. If you see in the lower right-hand corner, there's an exhaust pipe. Probably not the best placement, right? That's one of those things that we learned after doing it the first time, and so every other truck was a horizontal pipe so that we didn't sit there and go like that. That truck happened to be a ladder, doesn't get is used as much, but we learned from that. We're like, man, we can't have that right there. These guys are packing up right here, and we're going to blast them with exhaust. So just something to keep in mind. All this information, again, is uploaded onto that website so that you could pull all of it off. We've even moved a little bit beyond just the engines, but here's a closer look of what is in that one compartment. And again, if it's not easy and they have trouble trying to look all over for what they're going to need for the first due, they're not going to want to buy into this type of thing. So for those of you that have EMS, all of our rescues are also clean cab. So we took the packs, they're all mounted separately. We make sure that that environment's clean as well. I do want to show this picture. We did also move to command vehicles that are also clean cab. In this picture, 4 of our firefighters in 2020 that were diagnosed with cancer wanted to be a part of this. They wanted to show the change that was being made in our organization and the forward thinking that we continue to find ways to reduce risk. The second person on the right is Nate. We lost Nate after a 2-year battle of kidney cancer in January of this year. And so this is still fresh for us. You know, this is still something that our firefighters see every single day and they're dealing with because we keep losing people, and we only implemented this just a few years ago, so it's going to take some time. Fire investigators are one that often gets forgotten. I will tell you that we had Ford escapes for them before, and these are people that are going and walking through the same scenes that firefighters go through, you name it, and they're bringing those exposures home. So we transitioned out and we basically got into pickups. There is one outside, you can see all that, we've added to it. And again, the seats, everything on the inside is cleanable, washable, you name it. We're also looking now at some of these manufacturers and all of them have one, they're also looking at almost weather grade, you know, almost like a boat now. You could almost hose down the inside of your interiors with some of the things that they're doing. So retrofitting, that was another thing that we had another challenge that we came with, because we had some old apparatus didn't necessarily fit in with what we were designing. So how do we go from keeping some of these spares and make them clean cabs? So this was a process that we took. It basically cost us close to $8,000. We have it listed out again on that document. It'll break down all of our costs so you actually know what it takes to replace this. But this was pulling out all the seats, all the ACs, flooring, you name it, a complete overhaul of the inside of the cab, remounting things, taking those little mounts on the left are like where air packs would go. So we had to come up with different ways of just moving things around. It's really not that expensive. So that's it. I know we have a little bit of time to kind of walk over if you're interested in seeing the 3 different vehicles. If anybody has any questions, we truly appreciate your time here. And as we said, there's a lot of ways to do this. I had a department from Texas reach out to me and said, hey, we weren't ready to go and take the packs out. But I will tell you something, that we actually now have packs delivered to the fire scene. That's another way of doing clean cab. They're not putting those packs in, and I think that's just another way of approach. So it doesn't have to be this way. But thank you guys for your time. We appreciate all of you, and good luck out there. If you're interested in going, we'll meet you guys out over there.